Hello, my name is Rich White, and I am with the Immersive Education Project. I am the Midwest Working Group and located here in Kansas. But we've got this neat little tool, Visor.io, that I want to walk us through. Now, this tool is going to be hosted on an Immersive Education server, so the URL may change here in the next few weeks, but for now, it's always accessible at Visor.io. And what Visor.io is a virtual reality development platform to make it easy for people to create this virtual reality VR space for the headsets that are out there today, and to make it real easy for them to share those experiences that they've created. So when you're at the website here, you'll notice there's this Start Exploring button first, and there's kind of gives you examples of what you can do with Visor.io. So everything from 3D photos to the 3D scenes with modeling to some architecture, and then these visual experiments and interactive web VR. There's a lot of real neat interactive things you can do with Visor.io once you get comfortable with it. Now, to really use this to its fullest, you're going to need an account, and it's a real simple process. You just come up here to sign up, and you need your name, a username, email, and password. And you can use it without an account, but there are certain things you can't do without an account. So you probably want to get one of those to use it to its fullest. And I already have one, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. Now, when I sign in, it's going to drop me into a real quick development site, or I could click New and say, yes, I want to do something new here. And so basically the same thing here. Now, Visor.io is organized by the things you can do and the things you can build with it. Now, I'll kind of go through first some of the building properties and then the programming properties, so it may get a little confusing, and I'll try to make it as simple as possible as we go through these icons. But I've already showed you what new does. Duplicate is if I wanted to duplicate my project, maybe to tweak one theme independent of the other. This is really for assets in world where they're going to move, make them bigger, smaller, or rotate them. This is if you create a little patch, and I'll show you how patches work if you're familiar with Scratch. It's similar in a way that it's drag and drop scripting and programming of your assets in world. The inspector will show you kind of some of the patches you're working on. The patches themselves, your patch library. This is a little bit like Scratch also, where you have your block palette on the left. This is kind of the patch library. Chat, so you can talk to people who are also in world working on something if you wanted to. And then hide all. This is publish, and this is your profile. So your profile will show all the projects that you've worked on. This is your build. So my build, this is kind of what you're in by default, is your build view, and then your program view, where you're going to see all the, get rid of that, there we go, where you're going to see all of the patches. And the patches, each of these represents something that's in a world. So for example, the sky, the lighting, which are these little sun icons, the clouds. So, and I'm going to click my tab key and get out of this just for a second so you can kind of scroll out and see the clouds circling up here. Click my tab key, get back into my patches. The pillars, which are these things in the background. The rocks, this thing in the foreground, the ball, the little buckyball spinning here. And you see everything spinning. The clouds and the buckyball have this rotate parameter, and then how fast the rotate that it's going. But let's get in here and let's build something. And I'm just toggling back and forth. I could do that here through the icons, or I could click my tab key to toggle back and forth from build to program. I also see our little guy here. Now, if I want to at any time see, okay, what's my user going to see as he's viewing this, I can click this VR camera, and that's putting you right in that first person perspective of your guy. So that's kind of what that does. That's the difference. This is your editor camera, and this is your VR camera, which your end user is going to see. So like I mentioned, this is a drag and drop, very simple to start to build some very simple things. And so let's start with a rabbit OBJ model that I've got here. And I'm going to drag it from my desktop, and I am just going to see where it says rabbit OBJ. Drag and drop it from my desktop. It's going to upload it. When it's rendered, it's going to show up in world, and there we go. He's kind of on its side. Let me move him over. Back up. Let's rotate him so he's looking at us. Aha, there we go. I want to move him a little bit more here. There we go. Now what I did is I just grabbed that middle. I could grab the middle and kind of move him anywhere, or I can move him up with the up arrow, sideways with the sideways arrow, and forward and back with this arrow. Let's go ahead, and I kind of got him where I want him. I want to resize him though. We'll go to scale. There we go. Make it kind of big. And let's rotate him just a little bit so he's facing us. Okay, I want to see how we look here. That's okay. I want a little bit more, maybe a little bigger. There we go. Yeah, let's maybe move him down. So there we go. Now he's on the ground. Aha. So now one thing I'll mention is that this rabbit was white. I didn't have a texture on him. I've been kind of fiddling a little bit with not using textures. You can use textures in your OBJ and Collada files. What you'll need to do is take that texture and zip it up along with the model or the textures, and then you can drop in the zip file, and it'll associate that model with the textures that are in that zip file. So it's kind of another neat feature. But I've kind of been tinkering with lighting here, and so this looks yellow because the lighting's yellow. I want to back this up a little bit. Back. Kind of move this over. There we go. See how I'm kind of changing that. There we go. Let's make that light nice and visible. Okay, now we can kind of see some stuff here. It's looking good. You can also drag in images. So I got a little image on my desktop. So a real simple asset here. And let's move this up. Maybe move it right in there. And let's scale it here a little bit. And I'm just cycling back and forth here. I'm going to kind of change my view here so I can... There we go. Let's do that. Because I want to move that back. Okay. Now we're in good shape. Let's see what it looks like. Go to my VR camera here again. Okay. See my rabbit in the picture? I could add other pictures of, say, if I wanted to do almost a VR presentation type thing. Okay, so we've got some assets brought in world into our little template here. So let's go ahead and let's go to the program. Now there's a couple ways I can toggle back and forth to these patches, what they're called, kind of like blocks in Scratch, but patches. And I can do that by clicking Program or by clicking my Tab key on my keyboard, and that'll toggle them on and off. Now you'll notice, like I mentioned earlier, each one of these little blocks here are associated with something in world. So the sky, we've got a sky. Lighting, my two sun icons here, two lights. The clouds, you see them circling up in here. Like when I scroll way out, you can kind of see them. There they are. There we go. So clouds, where we at? Pillars. And those are these things in the background. The rocks, which is what I put the rabbit in front of. And then this buckyball that's spinning. You notice the two things spinning, the clouds. Oops, the clouds and the ball both have this two extra parameters. One is rotate and the other is speed. So how fast it's spinning. So those two things spinning. Now one thing you'll notice when I click this rotate up, it's got time. So time and speed. So we've got speed, time, rotate, and then it's the 3D object, clouds. Now you'll notice when I clicked into the cloud 3D object. I'll go back and do that again. Anything, this is just kind of opening up the little tabs that are wired. The pen is actually opening up the asset itself. So I'm going to go back here and let's click the pen again. Now you'll notice on the breadcrumbs here it says root clouds. So I'm in the clouds. And this is showing me the geometry. So the geometry of the clouds. And they're basically, I could change that to anything that I have or that anyone else has uploaded. But that's, we'll keep it the clouds. The material. And then here you'll see on the rotate, we've got this XYZ vector, and it's rotating around the Y-axis, so it's going around the Y-axis. And then these are the other kind of potential parameters that could be used with regard to the clouds. Let's get back here to root, and let's maybe look at the sky, because I mentioned, or the lighting rather, because like I mentioned, this rabbit's white, and what makes it look yellow is the color of the lighting. And so to change that, make it look kind of cool, we could go here to lighting. You'll see the lighting just has the lights parameter. But let's click the pencil or pen and get into it. And here we're going to say, oh, here's all the lighting parameters. One, the intensity. So let's kind of bring the intensity up or down. Now look, when I bring it down, see how it looks a little darker? Kind of cool. Now I want to maybe do something a little more on the bluish end of the spectrum here for that. Let's maybe make that. And there we go. So maybe about like that. And then let's, so that's obviously this light here we're messing with. Let's kind of go over here. Let's look at the sky color. And maybe let's keep the sky color a yellowish, but let's make it a little more vibrant yellow. Ground color, let's do something cool here. So the ground color light, we're gonna maybe make it a little bit more into this end of the spectrum. There we go. Okay, what I've got here. Okay, we made some neat changes. Let's come back here and just see what it looks like. Ooh, now I kind of like that. Ha-ha. Got kind of a pretty looking scene here just with a few tweaks. And there's my rabbit, my ground, my buckyball still going, my image. Now, okay, we've got some cool stuff going here. So I could blow this up to full screen. I could stop this if I wanted and then start it again. And then I can publish. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this. This is going to show me the size of my whole scene. It's 1.9 megabytes. So you'll want to think about that as you're dragging assets in and making your scene and think, you know, is this going to be used on a mobile device? Because if it is, it would take a little bit of time to get that 1.9 megabytes to render on your screen, or rather on your end user's mobile screen. So let me publish this. The first thing I want to do is give it a name. Yellow rabbit. And yes, I want it to be public. And then let's publish this little guy. Okay, it's published, and here is my scene. So there it is, my VR scene I just created. Now, to get these little icons down here, all I did was just clicked on the screen down here. And it's going to give me a couple of options. Since I own this asset, I can click that pen and edit it. I can full screen this. If I was viewing on a Google Cardboard, I could click that, or a Vive, or a Oculus Rift, or anything else. Since I'm not, it's saying, hey, share that out, and then you can view it on your phone or whatever. And what that'll do is that'll kind of give you that left eye, right eye view of the environment, so that you have that stereoscopic view. And then I've got this little icon that gives me this yet again. And I spelled yellow wrong, but that's okay. To share the URL, and also if I have a website, maybe I want to embed this in. Boom, I can copy and paste that. And that is Google, or rather Visor.io, and like I mentioned, this URL may change. We are working feverishly to get this on an immersive education server. This is open source software, and so we're really anxious to kind of see what kids can do with it in particular. And I'm anxious to see what you can do with it. So certainly share your work and share it with the Immersive Ed group, because we kind of want to see what you're up to.